Hey everyone. I decided it would probably be more beneficial for me to share information via a video about what has been going on and here at the Mayo Clinic. So today is Monday, June 20th, and it is my birthday. I have spent the past few days here in the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota and in Rochester. 2 years ago, I was, I had COVID right away in 2020 in the end of April. Still very new. Nobody really knew what to do. And I suffered a lot of very severe side effects. In the hospital, I had a fever of 106.3. I went in, they had to pack my body with ice. It was convulsing on the table. But at that time, they were very, very afraid. Testing was not accurate. It had just been invented like that week, and it was still under 30-some% accurate. So I was testing negative, but I had over 9 doctors tell me that I had COVID. And my inflammation levels were through the roof when I had that. And your normal numbers are around like 90-something. Mine were in the 500s for what's called your CRP. And it was very dangerous. I felt like my whole chest and gut area was going to pretty much pop. And I became very, very concerned. So I had to stay in the hospital for that day. They gave me fluids. They gave me a couple different things to control the inflammation at that point. I don't remember what that was. It's in my file though. And then they sent me home. And my fever was still 102.9, still super inflamed. Nobody knew what it was. And they said, oh, it's just COVID. It will take some time for you to heal. So we gave it time. And at that point, by the time I was done with COVID, it was May 7th-ish. It was right around my sister's birthday when it ended. And I was testing negative, and I could actually, leave. The whole time I'd been sick, I was crawling to the restroom on my knees because I could barely walk. And after that, for weeks, I could barely walk. The first time I walked out of my apartment, I had to hold onto the railings on a flat surface. I had a hard time going upstairs. People had to assist with that. And it was a very difficult time. People kind of treated you like you were taboo because you had COVID at the very beginning, and they still thought you were contagious. We didn't know a lot about it. And it was very traumatic, to say the least, to live through that. So I'm very thankful that I lived through that, let me be clear. But the experience weighed heavily on my mind and what had happened. During the hospital, nurses wouldn't even come in and check because they were afraid. You could hear them talking about how afraid they were that they were going to die. And I remember crying, please don't let me die, please don't let me die, when I was in the hospital. And the one doctor actually was brave and grabbed my hand, and she said, I'm going to do everything in my power to not let you die. And then the inflammation medication brought my inflammation back down. They had buckets for us to use the restroom in. They wouldn't even let us use the restroom. It was just a very unique experience at the beginning of COVID that not a lot of people experienced. I was one of the first 10 in our area in Salisbury that actually had that. So it was very new. A lot of the information we know now probably would have saved me a lot of body damage. And it's kind of frustrating that it could have, but we didn't know what to do or what to treat or how to treat things. So throughout the months coming forward, I tried to work and regain my strength, and then I started noticing, and other people started noticing, that I was just very weak, like extremely weak, more so than being just tired. Extreme fatigue, joint aches. I got very dizzy. I felt like I was going to pass out a few times while driving. My heart would just randomly start beating out of my chest, and it was very scary. The one day I had to pull over on the side of the road during rush hour because I was passing out. And I laid flat in my car for a very long time, chugging water, and finally my heart calmed down enough, and I was able to call home and get some help. So I've seen panels and panels of doctors from that point on trying to figure out what's going on. My neck would turn cold, my arm would as well, my collarbone area here. And so we thought, okay, well, maybe I'm having mini heart attacks. Maybe something's going on with my heart. And all the testing has shown that my heart is fine. I have a little mitral valve regurgitation, and they can tell that my heart did struggle through COVID, but nothing was showing as random or bad. I had a little bit of tachycardia, where your heart flutters and skips beats. That happens every so often, and doctors will catch that in a reading, but it's nothing significant. So I wear a monitor on my Apple Watch, and I help track that. So I've been to many heart doctors to find all that out, many tests, and to figure out what's going on with the passing out. Went to a rheumatologist, went to a neurologist, and tried to get that taken care of as well. Come to find out, COVID actually caused a autoimmune disease called Sjrogens syndrome in me, and that's where your eyes get extremely dry, your nose, your mouth, and your joints ache, they swell, your knees, I mean like all your joints, your hips, everything. And it happens randomly. You'll be fine some days, the next morning you'll wake up and you feel like you can barely move. So it's really bad. It has extreme brain fog. Before COVID, I was very quick. I could recall things very fast, and I was valedictorian in my high school. I was smart in college, and I've never had a hard time recalling things. In my job in pharmacy, I've had to do that, but lately it's been opposite. So some days will be fine, and other days you'll ask me a question, and it takes me a bit. Or I might not even remember the answer, something you told me yesterday or the day before. It just depends, and I might look at you kind of weird just because my brain is trying to clear out the fog and catch up with what I need to answer. So Sjrogens is treated by a rheumatologist. It is an autoimmune disease. I am being further tested by them for systemic sclerosis, where your organs tend to harden. Usually it affects the heart and liver and that kind of thing. So big story. I'm telling this in parts today. But COVID-1 pretty much affected my heart, and also an autoimmune disease. And autoimmune disease is a big factor because it does affect everything together. So like a waterfall effect, everything is kind of happened back to back to back. Throughout all of this, I was not able to move as much. It was very stressful to have your whole life changed, to be 35 and actually I was 34 when that happened, to be 34 and have your life completely change who you are, to not be able to run on the basketball court anymore as a basketball coach, to struggling recalling things, to having a hard time walking upstairs and swimming. When I first got in the pool, I could not even barely keep myself standing up afloat in the water. And my boyfriend, Karim, at that time, he actually had to like steady my arm so I wouldn't float in the water because I couldn't hold myself down. So a lot of just physical changes that I wasn't used to, especially in that instance, being a swim instructor for so many years and lifeguard. To go from that to not being able to even hold yourself up in water is a big deal. So my exercise fell off a lot because I physically couldn't do it. My eating habits actually got better. I started eating very healthy, doing the autoimmune protocol diet, doing a lot of different things, but I actually gained weight. And a lot of that is because of the steroids that I've been on for my medication, and my numbers as well, like triglycerides and that kind of thing, shot through the roof after COVID, just for no random reason. So when I say high, I mean like 400s high, and at the peak, right after COVID too, I got to 626, which is heart attack stroke level. So very scary. I now have to eat gluten-free as much as possible. Still work on that. And so it was just a big change. That's all pretty much what happened through COVID-1. And then I'm going to tell you about COVID-2 in just a second. And yeah, so during COVID-1, I do want to make sure I mention this too, because I'm telling a little bit of my life story through this that you guys don't know. I went from teaching and basketball coaching during COVID to teaching at home, to finishing out the school year, starting another school year and quitting in November. Sorry, Mr. Case, if you're watching. And again, a lot of that was through a very stressful time. And then I actually tried to find another position for a while, took some time to recover. And in March of 2021, I started working at a pharmaceutical company where I actually work from home, and I help monitor vaccines, COVID vaccines, and help investigate causes of issues that happen with them and report them to regulatory bureaus around the world. And so that's kind of where my job is at, where my life is at the moment. Still recovering, still trying to exercise, eat healthy, get my life back, and see a lot of doctors through COVID-1. So that is the end of this video. Tune in for COVID-2, and I'm going to kind of explain what's going on at that point, and then depending on how it goes lengthwise, I might share what's going on now in that video, or I might have to break it into a 3-part video series. So if you are interested in what's been going on with me, this is the way I'm choosing to share it. Thank you for listening.